Krishaya Bhutale Shri Bhakti Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namine Vishnu Padaya Krishna Krishna Hare Krishna,
Father Sravana. Thank you so much for being here. And thank you, welcome, thank you to Sri Prahlada Prabhu for being our speaker today. We all know Sri Prahlada here at Bhakti Center, but if you don't know Sri Prahlada Prabhu, he's amazing. He grew up in the Krishna consciousness movement and went to Gurukul in Mayapur and was very, very serious about his Krishna consciousness from a very young age. Started chanting 16 rounds at a very young age and took shelter of his spiritual master, Hridayananda Das Goswami, when he was a teenager. Took initiation, and then he developed a relationship with Indradyumna Maharaj and traveled with Indradyumna Maharaj for 18 years, right? Yes, 18 years. And doing kirtan with him personally, serving him, and learning from him. And now around the world, he is also, he was teaching in many different universities, sharing Krishna consciousness and the philosophy. And he also is well known around the world for his amazing kirtans and leading retreats. And he, I guess it's still recently, moved with his wife Sri Gandharva Devi to New York City to grace us with their presence. And he's now focusing full time on preaching. And most recently, I also see him posting very wonderful things on Instagram, sharing Krishna consciousness with the world. So thank you. Today he's going to be speaking to us about the 7 purposes of ISKCON, the relevance and evolution. Haribo!
So when I'm invited to speak and I'm asked to choose a topic, sometimes I'll just look to see the calendar and what auspicious days will coincide. And so today is the day of ISKCON's incorporation. That's the auspicious date in our calendar. ISKCON was incorporated July 13th, 1966. Today is July 28th, 2024. So, is this the day or not? According to the Vedic calendar, it is. So, that is the discrepancy. It is not July 13th, July 28th, but according to the lunar Vedic calculations for the calendar, this is the date. So when we talk about the incorporation of ISKCON, one of the processes or one of the things that came from that process was this 7 purposes, a list of 7 purposes that Prabhupada said were the reasons for incorporating this society of devotees, so Krishna consciousness. And so I thought, as we reflect on ISKCON's incorporation, we can maybe revisit these 7 purposes of ISKCON. So that's our focus. Understand the origins of ISKCON's 7 purposes, compare these with other principles found in other documents, such as the perspectives of the League of Devotees, and then just engage in some discussion as a gathering of devotees, aspiring devotees, just to reflect on our alignment with these purposes, their relevance today, do they stand the test of time? In 2024, would Prabhupada have written them differently? Would he have written a different set of purposes? And so, just to explore these questions, and to think about the fulfillment of this mission. Prabhupada was setting up a society with the purpose. These were the purposes, and so how are we fulfilling these purposes today? So That's my intention here. So there is a historical context. Prabhupada, he established ISKCON in 1966, but in 1952 he established another society with a similar mission called the League of, he called it then, the League of Devotees in Jhansi. He was still a grihastha at the time. It was, his business had not been doing well, and he started to focus more of his effort and energy on preaching. And he was traveling for business, but it started to change. He started to be traveling for preaching as well as business, and then it just became traveling for preaching. And so he became aware of a property that was available in Jhansi, a temple that wasn't really being used, and he knew people that were on the board, and they said that it could be available for his mission. So Prabhupada established himself there and started doing programs, giving talks that were well received. He had some renovations done on that property. He started to organize regular programs and to invite important people from the city to participate in these programs. Kirtan, talks, prasadam, distribution. And he was getting traction there. It was successful. And so he really, from this point, he actually withdrew from family life and focused on this preaching in Jhansi. And he established this League of Devotees. Unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on perspectives, unfortunately, the property was taken from him. The governor, the governor's wife, well, when you read it in the Prabhupada Lamrita, the way it's told, it says the governor's wife wanted the property for her tea parties. She had some social group, a women's group, and she wanted to use it for that purpose. And with the governor's power and influence, Prabhupada, he wasn't able to secure it, he wasn't able to hold the property, and basically he was moved out. So just when the property had laid derelict for so long, Prabhupada got it up and running, was engaged in these programs, inviting important people, and just when it was successful, it got taken from him. And so this was very disappointing for Srila Prabhupada. He took shelter for a period in the ashram of one of his godbrothers, did some service there, and then eventually moved to Vrindavan. Okay, there's one context. We're going to come back to it shortly. When we said, perhaps fortunately, the Jhansi project didn't work, it's because if it hadn't been successful, we may not have had ISKCON in New York City in 1966. Can't say we wouldn't have had, because part of the mission of the League of Devotees was international outreach. So it may have come later. But yeah, this is the way it did happen. That project failed, and then Prabhupada continued to make efforts to engage in fulfilling the instruction of his spiritual master to preach Krishna consciousness, and specifically to preach in the English language, and he managed to get passage on the Jaladuta. You know that story. It's an important part of our history. not just Prabhupada's history, but our history as his disciples and grand disciples and members of his society. How he came to New York City, he stayed with a yoga teacher, Dr. Mishra, in his small apartment, cooking for him, and then they realized it was a bit tight, so he rented an office space beneath the yoga studio. That was his residence. It didn't have a bathroom, didn't have any facilities. It was an office space that he rented for like $20 a month. And when you read about it in the Prabhupada Lilamrita, he describes it as being kind of long and narrow, like a train carriage. That there wasn't a lot of space in there. And so he would sing kirtan in the yoga studio. A mission that I feel like I'm trying to fulfill. Reaching out to yoga studios for opportunities to sing kirtan. So he would sing kirtan in the yoga studio, and then Dr. Mishra didn't like him preaching. So he would invite people downstairs to his ashram, the office, that was like a train carriage, and give talks there, invite people down for Bhagavad Gita talks. Anyway, he eventually came to the Lower East Side, was staying in the loft, and then there's a great story of how he got 26th Avenue. That one night he showed up at Mukunda Maharaj's place, and he was afraid to go back to the loft where he had been staying because his roommate had attacked him. His roommate, a hippie that he was sharing, flatting with, was high on drugs and attacked him, and Prabhupada had to flee. And so he reached out to a couple of the people that had come to his talks in that loft, and and so in the course of that process, he ended up at Mukunda Maharaj's door, and he was looking around his tiny apartment and wondering where he was going to fit Prabhupada with his wife and or her girlfriend. And I think they might have had a dog as well. And so they agreed that Prabhupada would go back and stay with Dr. Mishra for some days, and they would try to find somewhere for Prabhupada to rent. And Mukunda Maharaj was looking in the Village Voice, and he found this storefront and went around to meet the landlord. And I love the story how Prabhupada does a deal with the landlord. Prabhupada asks the landlord for the rent amount for 26th Avenue, and it's $100 a month. It's $100 a month. It's $100 a month. And Prabhupada, he says to the landlord, I love this. He says, we have our society, our international society, and Michael, he is a member. And Mukunda Maharaj is looking at me, no. And then the other devotee, he says, he's also a member. So they're both looking at each other. And then Prabhupada said to the landlord, so you will also be a member. Membership is $25 a month. And so we will be paying you rent $75. And Mukunda Maharaj, he thinks, I heard Swami used to be a businessman in India. And he's doing a deal here. And so Prabhupada gave him the books. He was happy, he had the books. All our members get some books. And this is the membership fee. So Prabhupada got 26th Avenue for $75 a month. Quite wonderful. And then he, with his disciples, started talking about incorporating officially a society, and he's been using this term ISKCON, or International Society for Krishna Consciousness, and this acronym ISKCON. Some had suggested maybe International Society for God Consciousness, and Prabhupada said no, that's too vague and abstract. Krishna is very specific. Krishna is a person. And so one of the devotees knew a lawyer who lived on Park Avenue. Satyaraj Prabhu mentioned his name earlier. Goldstein, was it?
Goldsmith.
Goldsmith. Goldsmith?
Goldman. Yeah.
Was it Goldman? Yeah. And so that devotee reached out to him and said, there's a Swami who's interested in incorporating a society. He told him about ISKCON and the idea of ISKCON. And so he was intrigued and he wanted to help. And so there is I believe a recording where during one of Prabhupada's lectures, Prabhupada, Goldsmith, he started coming to the lectures to meet Prabhupada to find out about the society that he was going to register. And one day Prabhupada says, so Goldsmith has some announcement, and he presents to the people who were there that night for the lecture. So Abhinavedan and Subhagana, they run a Saturday program at 26 2nd Avenue. And so imagine if one of those Saturdays you introduced your attendees to a lawyer and said, we're registering the society, we need all of you to give your names and addresses as members of the society. And that's what they did. And Prabhupada gave these purposes, the 7 purposes of ISKCON. So those are the official registration documents. 13 July 1966. The purposes are listed: to systematically propagate spiritual knowledge to society at large, to educate all people in the techniques of spiritual life in order to check the imbalance of values in life and to achieve real unity and peace in the world. Would anyone like to read the next one? If you can see it from here.
To propagate a consciousness of Krishna as it is revealed in the Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam.
To bring the members of the society together with each other and near to Krishna, the prime entry, and thus to develop the idea within the members and, quote, humanity at large, that each soul is part and parcel of the quality of Godhead, Krishna.
To teach and encourage the Sankirtan movement, congregational chanting of the holy names of God, as revealed in the teachings of Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu.
To erect for the members and for the society at large a holy place of transcendental pastimes dedicated to the personality of Krishna.
To bring the members closer together for the purpose of teaching a simpler and more natural way of life.
With a view towards achieving the aforementioned purposes, to publish and distribute periodicals, magazines, books, and other writings.
Very good, thank you all. 7 purposes of ISKCON. We can reflect on each of these, and that's our intention here. As a summary form: systematic propagation of spiritual knowledge, propagation of Krishna consciousness, bringing members closer to each other and to Krishna, congregational chanting, erecting a holy place, teaching simple living, and publishing and distributing literature. There you can see the names of the trustees. Michael Brunt, who lives at 110 Bowery. Jan Chodicki, also at 110 Bowery. And others you live at 26 2nd Avenue. Not sure that they live there or Goldstein didn't have their addresses.
No, it tells you there, some were at Bowery, like they give the address, right?
Yeah, that's right. Goldsmith, yeah, Stephen Goldsmith, that's the lawyer, yeah.
Well, you commented maybe he didn't have some of their addresses.
Right.
Like that is a common practice.
Right.
Will put the address of an entity that certain people are affiliated with, put the address of that entity if they don't know the residential address of
Right.
the individual, that is possible.
Yeah, okay. The lawyer here giving us some inside knowledge on the trade practice. Yeah,
Not necessarily correct,
right.
but
Common.
practically.
It's good, yeah. Thank you. Okay, so now, Jansi, back to Jansi. Because when Prabhupada registered the League of Devotees, he also gave a list of principles, and these are found in the prospectus of the League of Devotees. There are 17 of them, so not 7, but 17, listed from A to Q. So quite extensive, and some of them quite long with verses inside. So a lot more detailed. And they're very similar. So systematic spiritual education. He talks about promoting peace and unity. That's not of the 7 purposes of ISKCON. Recognizing Krishna as the Supreme Godhead, Sankirtan movement. Reclaiming holy places. So that's interesting. That was one of Prabhupada's, that was one of Lord Chaitanya's purposes. He wanted the Goswamis to go to Vrindavan and rediscover lost holy places. And the 7 purposes of ISKCON, Prabhupada has erect a holy place for members and society at large. And in the Jansi prospectus, he has reclaiming holy places. He speaks about different types of missionary activities, organizing lectures for the members, inviting scholars and devotees to come and give lectures to the members. He talks about a mail service where people can write with questions and they'll receive responses by mail. And he talks about sending missionaries overseas to preach Krishna consciousness, and also some global outreach, global activities. But yeah, they're much more extensive. We can't really put them on the screen like this because they're a lot more detailed. But what we find is essentially Prabhupada summarizes the Jansi prospectus into a more distilled form with the 7 purposes of ISKCON. And when you do that, some things get lost or get changed. So I guess there's a question for us to think about. How might the socio-cultural context of Jansi and New York City be reflected in the purposes? Any thoughts? Yeah.
Well, just on the one point that you were comparing, that with the League of the Devotees, there was erecting a holy place. Reclaiming the holy place.
Yeah.
And in the 7th purpose of ISKCON, one purpose was erecting a holy place.
Right.
So you can the socio-cultural context would justify the distinction in that in India, where the League of Devotees was established, there's already so many temples abound throughout India, and many of them are utilized and many aren't. So that could be the explanation. Whereas in the West, well, on the one hand, you don't have many Krishna temples, I assume back then, and then of course Lord Chaitanya, we don't read in the Bhagavata, in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, or in the Srimad Bhagavatam about Lord Chaitanya or Krishna, the avatars respectively, having different pastimes so much outside of India. I guess you do in the Bhagavatam. Certain places we find out are different parts of Europe or whatever.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for those observations, those insights. Did you have something to talk about? I thought I saw your hand.
Yeah, just the principle came to my mind, how Prabhupada's message and intention was always the same, of giving people Krishna consciousness, bringing them closer together into Krishna, but that he always shared according to time, place, and circumstance. So of course he would take into consideration the socio-cultural context when he's making the purposes according to where he is, what time it is, and also who is in his league, all of those things.
Yeah. Thank you.
And I think that's, maybe you're going here, so I don't want to jump ahead, but I think that's important to take into consideration, you know, us as followers of Prabhupada and ISKCON, that the essence we need to stay true to our Siddhanta and to Prabhupada's mission and his purposes, and we also have to apply his purposes according to time, place, and circumstance.
Yeah, thank you. Any other reflections, insights? Yes?
I think in Jhansi, Prabhupada had written about international outreach, sending missionaries.
Yeah.
But in NYC, like, the step was already taken.
Right.
Didn't mention it, but.
Right. Yeah, thank you. So in Jhansi, Prabhupada's thinking how he's going to send missionaries to the West, and in New York he's already in the West. But he's talking about international activities. Yeah, but thank you. Anyone else? So, yeah, Prabhupada's spoken to this. There are things certainly in common. There is spiritual education, community building, sankirtan. These are core, but then we see some slight adjustment in terms of time and place, where Prabhupada is, the specific context, but what is essential at the core you see reflected in both lists. And so a question for us now then is, so many years later, in 2024, how aligned are we with these 7 purposes?
You're there.
Yeah. I thought, let me try to find a montage of ISKCON activities where everything appears as like, oh, there's me.
Oh, yes.
So any thoughts on our alignment? What are some examples where we see ISKCON very strongly aligned with these purposes? Yes?
I see that we're very strongly aligned with
I'm going to go back to the purposes.
To systematically propagate spiritual knowledge to society. I think we can improve. I think we are doing that. I also think we can improve with the words to society at large and educating all people in the techniques of spiritual life. We're doing a very, very good job at number 2, propagating a consciousness of Krishna. And
As revealed in the Gita and the Bhagavatam.
yes.
So I'll get you to hold it there.
Oh,
and then
sorry.
we'll see. Yeah, thank you, Doug. So 2. Any other thoughts from others on where you think ISKCON has done particularly well in fulfilling these purposes?
What about the Sankirtan, the congregational
Yeah.
chanting?
Yeah,
I think we're pretty good at that one.
there's a lot of Sankirtan that goes on
Yeah,
there.
super good
Yeah.
at that one.
Lots of Sankirtan.
It's a little imbalanced because some were good and some were not.
Yeah.
In terms of publishing and distributing books,
Yeah,
we achieve quite a bit
Absolutely.
internationally.
so many
You
billions of
see
books.
the monthly Sankirtan scores published by Mayapur Shashi Das from New Dwarka. You can
Uh-huh.
see how there's now a section category of scores in Persian language,
Oh, yeah,
Farsi.
which we didn't have before.
right,
And the devotees distributing books
in Persian,
in Persian.
right.
Especially in Los Angeles, there's a lot of Farsi speaking.
Is that taking place in Iran or is it?
Yeah, in America.
No, in America, but not in Iran.
Undercover, yes.
What was happening in Iran that no one would confirm or deny?
Yes.
But I think that previously, when the regiment was not so strict in Iran, devotees did have Farsi books.
Yeah, there was a farm, there were deities,
Yeah.
there was a lot going on before the revolution.
Yeah. Yoga, I mean, all under the pretext of yoga.
Yeah. So book distribution, so much been done. Any other thoughts on where ISKCON has done very well in fulfilling these purposes?
A lot of temples are very rational.
Yeah.
So the sixth purpose is about teaching a simpler and more natural way of life, bringing the members together for that purpose. So I guess some would say that ISKCON is on the path of accomplishing that, and there's some more steps to be taken to
Right.
achieve the goal.
Uh-huh.
If you were to if you were to construe that sentence in terms of practical implementation within society, as even a non-devotee could see it, meaning farm communities, for example, right? So we have some of this, but nowhere near as established, generally speaking,
Yeah.
as the many temples in urban areas.
Yeah, absolutely. So, a possible stretch there. Thank you for that.
Do you think that I'm trying to see, like, in these 7 purposes, the concept of varna and ashram, where would that fit in? Would it be in that same, like
So,
in the
Abdul
6th?
made a note, he says, if you were to construe, so
Yeah,
it seems there's some interpreting that goes on.
yeah,
And so if we were to construe, then that might be the place. In the Jhansi prospectus, he does speak about the 4 orders of society. Yeah.
yeah. So maybe this is a more simpler version, like number 6,
I think so.
teaching a simpler and more,
Yes, sure.
I think we have to keep in mind that Srila Prabhupada was a Gandhian. Was very much influenced by Gandhi in his youth.
Uh-huh.
And if you look at present day India, India is not a Gandhian state.
Right.
It originally started as a Nehruvian state.
Right.
And now it's like, sometime during India's post-independence period, there was a debate in the Congress on how India should proceed now that it's free from British rule. Gandhi's motto was industrialize and perish. Gandhi's motto was that if India industrialized, there would be end of Indian culture.
Right.
And he had someone who had the antithesis of that, and that person, his name was whatever his name was. His motto was industrialize or perish. India would have to industrialize
Right.
and follow the rest.
Yeah, sounds like
And
they're
you see nowadays India is like it's going to be like trying to compete with China and lead it.
right. Yeah.
And there's a lot of industrialization. I haven't been in India in 20 years, and I
Right.
hear so much, you know.
Yeah, thank you for those observations.
Also, when Prabhupada brought his first disciples back to Mayapur, he
Yeah.
told them to start cottage industries.
Right.
And I know some devotees try to do that, or Westerner trying to like start
Yeah.
cottage industries,
Yeah.
and that never happened in Mayapur,
Yeah.
right?
So he had that vision of simple living, and you're linking it also to some Gandhian ideas. Gandhi had some farms, Tolstoy farm in South Africa, and then
Yeah.
Gandhi, there was some Gita, some farms in Gujarat as well, other places where he was living off the land and encouraging others to live that simple life. And Prabhupada initiated similar type projects.
It was a way of being self-independent, not dependent on,
Right,
surviving.
self-sufficient
Yeah.
folks.
If anyone goes from Mayapur, leaves from the Mayapur campus and goes to any of these Bengali villages around, you walk into a village, it's just down the road from Mayapur, Holurga,
Yeah.
you walk to the typical Bengali village, it's all built with materials from around the land,
Right.
and you hear this tuck, 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 spinning,
And
The hand looms.
Yeah, yeah,
so it's like,
yeah.
Your own clothing.
yeah.
So the Bengali villages can do it, but it's hard for us to do. Hard to do simple living.
And if you examine Prabhupada's, the way that Prabhupada preached, you know, or you're driving on 4 cars, and the dog runs on 4 wheels.
Right.
Prabhupada was very against modernization.
Right.
And these things, you know, you can speak out about the space race and
Yeah.
all these things. But
So-
that's the trend that the world is going into, right?
Yeah. Okay. So we've had this discussion then. Point number 6. After debated and suggested there's quite a bit of a way to go yet. Similar thing. And I think that's the point you're making as well. That we haven't quite fulfilled that purpose, or we've struggled with that purpose, or let's say there's a lot of opportunity for us to further develop in that area. So we were talking about where ISKCON has been successful in fulfilling these purposes, but now it seems our conversation has shifted also to see where there are gaps and where we could do a lot better. Any other gaps that we see? Yeah.
I think in a lot of places this is doing very well, but I think there are many places in our society where it could have improvement. Number 3, to bring the members of the society together with each other and nearer to Krishna. So I think, here we're very fortunate. Jani Tai Bhakti are doing devotee care. We have a lot of we have a lot of community care initiatives, and we have a very healthy devotee community here,
Right.
and it's just improving. But I think that there are definitely areas in the movement where devotee care, this is how I see to bring members of society together, can be improved.
Yeah. Thank you. Okay. Thank you for that. An improvement, possible improvement in care, bringing devotees together, Krishna together with each other and with Krishna.
Yeah, we're not doing bad. We can just improve.
Sure. Yeah. I think it. Yeah. Any other thoughts as we see this? I think that was the point of Urmila Mataji's workshop yesterday as well. How to care for devotees by helping devotees understand themselves and how they can be situated in a stable way that they can serve. Anyone else? Any other reflections? Yes.
If you look at how Prabhupada put the prospectus for Jhansi and how there was, he obviously had a change of strategy from when he was in India and when he got to here.
Yeah.
When he was in Jhansi, he had never been to the West.
Right.
He hadn't gone to the West yet. Yeah. And when he got here, he understood this could be a little bit different now.
Yeah.
I got these Westerners dancing with elephants, whatever.
Right.
And I'm sure that Srila Prabhupada constantly changed his strategy and adapted. And if he were here, he would say, yeah, okay, forget about what I said previously, you're going to go. Because this living naturally close to the land and all that.
Yeah.
It kind of started off like that. That's how New Vrindavan kind of started off. That's how New Govardhan started off.
Right.
Yeah. And I worked with the devotees. The devotee was in charge of the barn where the cows were being milked. That was in 1981. Yeah. His name is Ambrish also. Still Prabhupada had two Ambrishas. One is Ambrish, everyone knows that. No? Yeah. Henry Ford. Yeah. And the other Ambrish was in New Vrindavan, we used to call him the original cowherd boy. It was a play. Yeah.
Right.
So this Ambrish told me that at the end of the Second World War, America had so many dairy farms which were family-owned affairs, something like 500,000 or something like that.
Yeah.
And by the 60s, the number had gone down.
Significantly.
Yeah.
People were exporting.
And if you these statistics are available if you go to USDA, right?
Yeah.
So they'll tell you how many dairy farms there actually are in America.
Yeah.
So New York's a dairy state, Pennsylvania's a dairy state, Wisconsin, Vermont, these are dairy states. Yeah? The number of family-owned dairies, they've gone up, they've shut down.
Right.
And it's all because of technology, modern technology.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nowadays you have dairy farms that are completely owned by corporations,
Right.
where you have 2,000 cows being milked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Factory
Where you have
farms.
automatic takeoffs.
Yeah.
Yeah. And every day a truck comes and it pulls in, a couple of trucks come, everything is like super whatever it is. Yeah. And of course the cows after they're milked, they get sent to slaughter.
So I think what you're saying is that the need for a more natural way of life is even greater today than it was even.
And we are fighting
True.
great odds. We are fighting great odds. It's the
True.
whole
Prabhupada's
modern
side.
system is against the Vedic.
Right. So I'm sure there has been change in many other areas as well. So that's also a question that we can ask. So purposes written at a particular time and where society has gone since then. You mentioned technology as well. Do we need to, well, provocatively we can say, have the seven purposes stood the test of time? Should they be updated? Yes, you have a comment?
Yes, if you're ready, otherwise I'll wait.
Please.
I would say the purposes have stood the test of time and they should not be updated.
Right.
Prabhupada wrote those for ISKCON.
Right.
Yeah.
Good. Yes,
I would say the same thing, and there's two bases that I'm thinking of to support that. One that you just said, Chandra, which is you can just look today and these spiritual principles, they're effective today. They do good things that if you study Prabhupada's teachings were the things that he wanted to be done.
Yeah.
Another basis that would support that conclusion that these purposes test the time is that this is very interesting. I didn't look at the 17 purposes of legal devotees and compare them to the 7 purposes of ISKCON. So I'm sure. So and you talked about comparing them, but if you compare them, you actually see they're at least if we look at your summary of the 17 purposes of the legal devotees, they're largely the same. Yes, they're essentially the same as the 7 purposes of ISKCON. Now, they were prepared. Well, at least they were established about what, a decade and a half apart. Yeah. And moreover, when Prabhupada, on the one hand, was in his home country of India before, and the other after he went to a new world, right, the U.S. And still, so that shows that despite being in a very different culture and in a very different time, or maybe not as great an expanse of time as has passed between the incorporation date and today, but still 15 years or so, that's a large period of time. That shows that Prabhupada thought, let me stand by these principles, the same principles that I found are appropriate when we established the legal devotees, they remain appropriate. And so you can also naturally conclude then, jump ahead 50 years, 60 years, and what would be the reason not to do what Prabhupada had done himself, right, in keeping the principles the same after time passed and culture changed?
Yeah, thank you for that, both of you weighed in. Anyone else?
I think the principles remain,
yeah,
but the details of how we're going to take it on. A small group, when Prabhupada left his body, there were 5,000 directly initiated disciples, plus it was growing.
Yeah.
So you take 10, 20, 30,000 people that are going to change the whole world of 8 million people, and the 8 million people with their leaders and the way the trends are going, it's like, David versus Goliath. Yeah. So I definitely think that ISKCON's got to build up its numbers, not in terms of who stays in the monastery, not in terms of its leadership, as much as widening the fall.
Say we've got our work cut out for us. We have our work cut out for us.
We have our work cut out for us. Yeah. And if you say that, okay, the people who most naturally support ISKCON are the Indians, the Hindus. A lot of them don't understand. They come from India. They come here. They say, "Oh no, $2." They don't realize. You walk into the supermarket. It says meat and dairy section.
So you mentioned technology and opening this up. Technology has changed.
Yes.
Significantly in all, not just in farming, in all areas of life since 1966. And the world we have is a very different world. How would we think about these purposes in relation to newer technologies that we have today that were not available or even conceived of at that time? Oh yeah, great, lots of hands. I'm going to go with some hands that we haven't heard from yet. Kishore, and then we'll come to you.
Me?
Yeah.
So a lot of corporations are doing that. They're spending a lot of resourcing research to understand how to reach out to their client base. We also, like a corporation, we have some product to distribute to people.
Yeah.
And we are seeing that there are generations, and there is a generation that can be reached very well through social media. We take the example of Silicon Valley, where they have done so much adaptation of using social media to propagate knowledge. for example, they have, just one example, they have chant a day chat program, where they just go online. The whole congregation chant Bhagavad Gita chapters
Okay.
using technology.
Yeah.
So that gap exists where we could identify the need of using proper technology to reach out to people who are already there at different life stages.
Yeah.
And that therefore, the essence here is communication, effective communication through using technology.
Yeah. Yeah, thank you. Okay, so there's a principle there. And when we look at these purposes, where do we see that technology might provide different opportunities that may have not been in mind when these principles were written? Chitra, you had a comment?
So I've seen technology improve the standard of living of people, but it divert them into a more materialistic way of life.
Right.
Whereas if you reflect back on the old days, the women would come together and grind grains, but it will chant bhajans.
Right.
Or pastimes of the Supreme Lord. We don't have that anymore.
Yeah.
So all of our activities and work that we do on a daily basis has no Krishna consciousness in it.
Right.
It's just we're mechanically doing things
Yeah.
for the profit of benefit our family, and mechanically we go home, we chant, we do daily worship, but Krishna consciousness is not incorporated in our life.
Right.
It's deviating our very, very, far away from
Yeah.
where we used to be before.
Technology can be very distracting. Yeah.
I have something to say about that. I think what Mataji said is good, and it's very interesting. I approached Radhanath Swami, I think, maybe 15 years ago on this issue. Because I was like, well, I used to live near a temple, and, I used to, go regularly in my consciousness. It was always so easy to, be fixed. But now I live away from the temple, I don't have that constant association, and, I'm just doing all these activities to maintain my Grihastha ashram. So Maharaj told me, it's a matter of consciousness. Who are you doing it for? If you put Krishna in the center, even if you're your job,
Right.
you're doing it for a purpose. It's not that you're acting out everything, but I think that that's so true, because when I changed my concept and I changed it, I felt happier.
Right.
Because I thought, even I don't live near a temple, I have to have a job, or I have to do this and I have to do that, and I just always remember him saying that. Who is it for?
Right.
Your house is your, an ashram, it's to facilitate your spiritual life, it's all part of it.
Thank you. So you had a comment?
Oh, I had a very similar comment as well. Social media presence.
Yeah.
I think it goes on second and seventh, propagate consciousness of Krishna. Sorry, the first as well. But social media publishing and distributing magazines and books is mentioned, but now online articles.
Yeah.
Also using technology, like how we have now Zoom and online classes and all those things can be helpful.
So that could also be 4, could also be 5.
Could also be 3.
3, yeah. I think you meant, that's right.
It will be 5 also. 5.
I beg your pardon? A virtual temple.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
It's already heading that way, it's already heading that way.
Like here at the Bhakti Center, for example, Bhagavatam class happens in person as well as online.
It becomes like an impersonal one. Things that go online because you don't have connection no more.
Right.
You're connecting, artificially.
With the screen rather than.
Artificially,
So something's lost, something's gained as well. Yes?
I think you have to like influence people and like de-influence them like at the same time. Like you have to like, because of the way like social media works and like how attention spans work for people today, like you have to get information to them in like 60-second YouTube shorts or TikToks, but then you have to get them off those apps and like in person to like make real connections. So it's like this combination of like reaching out to people virtually, but also getting them to make real interpersonal connections, because otherwise they just like exist out in this ether without like a community. And like I think the way algorithms and technology works is like they could start off on a YouTube video of like Radhanath Swami, and before you know it, they're watching like something about Marvel. You know, like that's just the way this technology works. It like can so rapidly take you down like a black hole. And so I think it's a combination of like educating people using social media, but like also going back to the core principles of like real human connection.
Right.
And it's a really difficult thing to do. And like I think like Prabhu said, like it's like we're fighting, like it's not fighting, but like it's like a really difficult needle to thread that like in a lot of ways, like it's all like we're all ADHD kind of in the way we like consume media. So.
Thank you, great insights. Yes.
A very good example is wisdom of sages.
Yeah. Right.
So I think online presence as well as physical presence going together
Hybrid.
on various tools.
Hybrid.
If we are to take our members in millions, then that helps.
Good. Okay. Yes.
I think also COVID brought that on. Because
yes.
I think
It
like life
expedited it.
situations, I think like the principles are the same, but like I guess devotees have become very creative. And like Giraj Swami, I don't know how many hours he spends on Zoom, you know, just, and he was able to reach so many people. So.
Right. Yeah. What's that? Sorry, Bhagavata?
Just such beautiful comments, I think, illustrating this both and
Yeah.
direction that the conversation is taking. I think there's a template for that historically, looking at our acharyas. In this, there's in-person sangha, there's in-person, there's a guru who's embodied, and then there are prayers to the acharyas who are not embodied in the same way. And I had this thought over COVID, looking at the Zoom screen, looking at sadhus on the screen, I was like, oh, these squares remind me of the photographs or the paintings and the acharyas that we have on the altar.
Right.
And so if we can perceive it in that way and offer our prayers and engage quite in the way that we do with those who are no longer with us in this physical form, then it can become a vehicle to deepening the in-person sangha that we have. So I just thought what we described was just both of these were so beautiful that it really, for me, what I got from what you both shared is there's both and.
Right.
Even with the principles, is that Prabhupada's principles are static, and they're beautiful that way. And then there's also the piece of translation, depending on Desha Kalabhata.
Excellent, wonderful summary, Bhagavata. And you're reminding me of Bapu and Bani as well, those two principles. And it's interesting how that ancient principle, it helps us to understand our context of in-person and virtual.
Yeah.
We have this tradition, a framework within the tradition that can also enable us to make sense. Thank you.
So adding to that, this is my personal opinion. So basically when we preach to youths and then basically the new generation where they're tech savvy, so it's good to use the social media or the technology, but like as Mataji was mentioning about the black hole, it's very, very we don't know how the direction it basically takes. So it's better that as a devotee we can try getting this personal association, like Mataji was mentioning about Vopo association. So as much as possible, but technology anyhow it's there. It's like an boon and an evil. So yeah, we need to really know how to use it. Because back in India, so when we preach to youths, we face a lot of problem with the social media. though we get some results, and then it also causes a lot of damage. So
right.
that's a two-sided coin. Yeah.
Technology is like that.
The same can be said about books. They also cause a lot of damage. Books and periodicals and magazines.
Right, yes, true.
Yeah.
True.
Okay.
Yeah.
They can also cause a lot
Good
of
point.
damage.
Yeah.
It's just means.
Great, thank you so much for your engagement. I'm grateful, and hopefully you got something from this, reflecting on these 7 purposes of ISKCON, and the purposes of ISKCON, and our Sangha, and our engagement and service together. And further, let's conclude by just feeling gratitude to Prabhupada for establishing this society and these purposes and bringing us together in this way. Hare Krishna.
Prabhupada ki
Jai.
Thank you so much to Prahlada Guru for such a very enlivening discussion. I feel super inspired. Now we will have Arti and Kirtan for Shishira and Muladhar Gaurachandra.
Jai Shri Radha Muladhar Gaurachandra ki Jai. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestanya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Shri Srimad Abhay Charanaravindra Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki. Prince and Ho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Bhavani Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaur Bhaktivedanta ki. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Go Gopa Gopinath Shamakund Radha Kuntiri Govardhan ki. Nanda Devi ki. Yamuna Devi ki. Bhakti Devi ki. Tulsi Maharani ki. Vinam Sankirtan ki. Mahaprabhu Dham ki. Rajabhumi Shri Vrindavan Dham ki. Shri Shri Radha Murli Dham ki. Shri Gaura Chandra ki. Samadeta Bhaktivedanta ki. Thy core Premanande. Glory to the Samul Devotees. Glory to the Samul Devotees. Glory to the Samul Devotees. Glory to Shri Shri Guru Guru. Glory to Srila Prabhupada.
Thank you so much, dear devotees. Hare Krishna. Thank you so much for coming to Bhagavata Sravana. Another big Hari Bol for Shri Prahlada. This program happens every Sunday, and also Shri Prahlada is going to be speaking next Sunday as well. He's going to be speaking on the flute's distant call, the gopis' devotional longing in the Bhagavata, which is a very, very, I'm extremely excited about this topic. Very special, very deep topic. And there's also today a Bhakti Center Community Picnic, also in collaboration with Wisdom of the Sages, from 4 to 7 p.m. in Central Park. Meet at Cherry Hill if you would like to attend that. It's going to be very beautiful. And also, the last thing is that my husband and I are hosting a pilgrimage to Vrindavan in September 13th to September 21st. We're very, very excited to take everyone to the Dham by Guru's blessings, and the last day to sign up is actually August 1st, so if anyone is interested, we have a few spots available. You can see me. We have a beautiful lunch in the back served for all of you. Please stay, make a donation if you can, associate with each other, and thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.